Hi guys, so it seems there is a problem. I'm looking for a proverb that talks about a hypocrite, a person that does not do what they say. So what is it in your language? Well, in Malay we would call that as cakap tak serupa bikin. Wait, hold on a second. In English we call it as the pot calling the kettle black. So which one is the correct one? Maybe neither, maybe both. Well, you can see, ladies and gentlemen, both proverbs that were presented are both correct. However, they are different and significantly different in both culture and of course in their own language. Both carry the same meaning, but is presented in a rather different manner. This differentiation can be seen in their presentation according to the culture and the language that is attributed to. Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Azim Imran bin Azhar, metric number 2213483, and today I'm going to be discussing about this research paper, the comparative study of English and Malay proverb. This study is researching about the main differences of English and Malay proverb and how they are different culturally and of course linguistically. So let's go. So let's talk about the paper, shall we? It is a paper titled A Comparative Study of English and Malay Proverbs. The authors are N. Ghazali, I. Suryani, F. Zubair, H. A. Halbid, M. Chulan, N. A. Rosaidi, and N. M. A. Radzi. For the sake of convenience, I'll be referring to them as N. Ghazali et al. The year of publication is 2021. Let's move on with the presentation. You see, proverbs are cultural and linguistic tools expressing truth, morals, and advice through figurative language. English proverbs are underemphasized in Malaysian ESL context due to linguistic and cultural barriers. Malay proverbs, on the other hand, are more integrated into everyday speech and are categorized into 4 types: simpulan bahasa, perumpamaan, pepatah, and bidalan. You mean like this? That's bedalan, not bidalan. Let's move on. The research objectives of this study is to investigate similarities and differences between English and Malay proverbs, to examine the semantic and pragmatic aspects of these proverbs, and to explore how such comparisons can support ESL learning and teaching. And I forgot to mention that ESL means English as second language. So, let's get to my favorite part of the study, the literature review. The literature review discusses challenges of translating proverbs across cultures and languages. Translation strategies like equivalent form and meaning, paraphrasing, and omission are reviewed. The impact of culture on translation and the limitations of machine translation in handling proverbs are highlighted. This research is qualitative text-based approach. English proverbs sourced from books and online databases. Malay proverbs sourced from authoritative dictionaries, and comparison and analysis based on semantic and pragmatic aspects. So, what did they really find in this study? I'm glad you asked, Azim. So, the heart, the meat, the beating heart of this study is the finding. And what was being found? Well, it says that equivalent proverbs exist but differs culturally and lexically. For example, there are proverbs in Malay which is ukur baju di badan sendiri. In English, we have a similar sounding proverbs and also similar in meaning, which is cut your coat according to your clothes. For example, we have another example that is similar in meaning, however very different in terms of culture and also lexically, which is bertepuk sebelah tangan takkan berbunyi. In English is it takes two to tango. This shows that some proverbs share meaning but not form, and direct translations often fail to preserve intended meanings. Well, this reminds me of a theory in discourse analysis about discourse and word, and how it says that discourse are shaped by someone's word, and the word that they live in influences how a person talk or how a person uses discourse. Basically, language shapes thought. That sounds familiar, does it? Of course it does sound familiar. because this is a famous theory of sapemorphism, where language that people use in everyday life are shaped by their thought, and the thought that they have in their head is shaped by their own surrounding. The discussion part of the study shows that translating proverbs require deep cultural understanding, meaning people who intend to translate Malay proverbs into English and English proverb into Malay need to have both understanding of both languages deeply and significantly, so that they are able to switch between Malay proverbs and English proverbs interchangeably and immediately. It also shows that ESL learners struggle with indirect meanings, limiting their effective use, and teachers can use matched proverbs to improve student understanding. So Malay students may be able to understand certain English proverbs with similar meaning and similar form. Strategies from Baker and others can be adapted into ESL instruction. Conclusion: English for second language learners in Malaysia face challenges with English proverbs due to deep and hidden meanings. Teaching equivalent proverbs can enrich vocabulary, enhance cultural understanding, and support expression. Further research is needed to build a comprehensive corpus of equivalent proverbs and translation strategies. So, do you get it? So that is all for my presentation for today. I would like to end my presentation with a Malay proverb that has no equivalent in English. Kalau ada sumur di ladang, boleh hamba tumbang mandi. Kalau ada umur yang panjang, ayo kita berjumpa lagi. Jadi, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.